In this video, we'll create sketch intersections and projections. After completing this step, you'll be able to create a sketch projection onto a surface, create a sketch intersection curve, and include 3D geometry in the sketch. In Fusion 360, we want to get started by uploading the supplied dataset sketchprojections.f3d. We're going to take a look at this and note that it is a component inside of this design. To begin working with it, I'm going to activate it by selecting the radio button at the right-hand side. This means that any new sketches or features I create will automatically be created in the timeline underneath of this component. We expand it, I want to note that it's a body inside of this component and there are no sketches. To get started, let's create a new sketch and let's select the top face of the part. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this back around. We can use our home view, and we can see that we've got this upper section based on our selection and nothing else. The next thing I want to do is go to my Create menu and go down to Project Include. The first thing we're going to look at is Projecting, which is the shortcut key P on the keyboard. We're going to select Project, and inside of here we can select Geometry, and there's a filter based on selected entities, or we can select entire bodies. I'm going to use the entire body, and notice that as I do this, what I'm bringing or projecting is the entire upper silhouette or the upper profile of this part. I brought that domed section up to my sketch plane. So this allows me to bring all the geometry, even though there are no edges to select, up into my sketch. Next, I'm going to finish the sketch, expand my sketches folder, and hide it. I'm going to rotate this back around, but instead of using the home view, I'm going to select the corner between top, back, and right. Next, I want to take a look at creating an intersection curve. And to do that, I want to use one of my default sketch planes. So I'm going to create a new sketch. This time, I want to make sure that I'm using my XZ plane. Notice that it's inside of my part, so it's really hard for me to select. I'm going to hold down the left mouse button, which will bring up a selection filter and allow me to select that plane easily. This plane is in the middle of my part, so I'm going to go to Create, Project Include, and select Intersect. Once again, I'm going to use the entire body, and I want to rotate this back around and select OK. Now, if we hide the body, we can see what we've just created. We've created this intersection that cut through the center of our part exactly where our sketch plane was. If I bring the body back, you can see exactly what we have. So now we've created both a projection, which gave us this profile on the top of our part, and an intersection, which gave us the same profile in this instance all the way through. I'm going to finish this sketch. I'm going to hide it. And the last thing I want to do is I want to talk about including 3D geometry. Let's create a new sketch, and this time let's go to the side face. I've already noted that we can turn on 3D sketching by selecting it in the sketch palette. When we turn on 3D sketching and we start to sketch a line, for example, we can bring that line out in 3D based on the plane references that we're working with. You'll notice that the icons look a bit different when we're sketching in 3D. However, we also have another option in Project Include, which is called Include 3D Geometry. This allows me to select edges of the 3D model so I can include them. This can be extremely handy if we need additional sketch points to be included or if we need some additional references for further sketching. I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of these references. I'm going to grab this bottom edge as well, and I'm going to finish the sketch. Now, if I hide the body, we can see that our 3D sketch makes use of these different areas. Now I've got closed profiles in multiple regions that I can select. Notice that this corner is not a closed region because we didn't bring in all of the references, but we have references on top. We have these additional references for these 3D sketch lines that we created. And I do want to note inside of the browser that our first two sketches have a lock icon telling us they're fully defined, while this last sketch is underdefined because this sketch element can still be moved around. It doesn't have a dimension or a constraint fully defining it. From here, there are many other things that we can do, but this is a first look at including 3D geometry, creating a sketch intersection curve, or projecting a sketch based on the solid geometry up into another plane. Make sure that you always save before you move on, and in this case, I'm going to go back to my home view first, then I want to create a save before moving on.